And the House of Representatives has voted to increase stimulus checks in the COVID-19 relief bill from $600 to $2,000. It's a rare point of agreement between President Trump and Democrats in Congress, but Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has not said whether the bill will get a vote in the Senate. White House correspondent Rachel Scott joins me now with the latest on this. Rachel, good morning. It seems the big question now is, will Senate Republicans vote to increase those checks, or will they break with the president?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Diane. That is the big question, and it's unclear if the Senate will even take this measure up. But what is clear is that the vast majority of Republicans are not with the president on this. So here you have the Senate returning back to Washington today. They are likely to override the president's veto on the defense bill. That would hand him his first veto override of the Trump administration and a major rebuke in his final days of presidency. And President Trump is clearly growing frustrated with his party. Today, he is blasting them, calling them weak and tired. He doesn't want them to override him on that defense bill that he vetoed. And so McConnell knows that if he does bring this measure up, he opens up an opportunity for yet another rebuke of the president in his final days in office. What is clear, though, is that the president is insisting that these checks need to be $2,000. But that $600 stimulus check is a number that his own team negotiated. So you had Republicans during this past weekend say, hey, well, if the president wanted this, his team should have just mentioned it sooner, Diane.
And Rachel, how does this all factor in with the Georgia runoffs now? Because it seems like Republicans now are in a tough spot.
Yeah, and this is really interesting because Senator Bernie Sanders is actually asking to filibuster the veto override on the defense bill until McConnell says that he will take up this measure on the $2,000 stimulus checks. So what that could do is possibly delay those two senators from getting back to Georgia just days before those critical runoffs that will decide which party keeps control of the Senate. This will also put those two Republican senators on the record, either standing by the president or going against the president. And we know that especially in Georgia, they are hoping that the president's base turns out to vote for those two Republicans so that they can keep control of the Senate.
And Rachel, meanwhile, President-elect Joe Biden is raising some new concerns that political leadership in the Defense Department is not cooperating with the transition. What are you hearing, and how concerning is this?
Yeah, Biden not mincing words here. He is saying it is nothing short of irresponsibility. He is blasting the Trump administration, saying that they're obstructing the transition, that they're putting national security at risk. Biden saying simply that his team just isn't getting the information that they need, and they really don't have any time to waste here. We're 3 weeks out from Inauguration Day, and there was already that 3-week-long delay where the Trump administration refused to talk to Biden's transition team. The Defense Department, though, is pushing back on all of this. They say they are fully supporting and cooperating with the transition, Diane.
And Rachel, Dr. Ashish Jha, the dean of Brown University School of Health, said on GMA earlier that we're seeing similar issues with the vaccine rollout that we saw with testing earlier this year. Let's listen.
We're a couple of days away from the end of the year. We're obviously not going to hit our 20 million target. The issue here in my mind is twofold. There's a little bit of getting the vaccines to states, but the biggest problem is getting the vaccines from the states into people's arms. There's a lot of steps, and there just hasn't been much planning. There hasn't been much investment, and we're starting to see departments of health that are really stretched, having to try to figure out how to get all these vaccines into people, and it's going much more slowly than I think the federal authorities thought it would.
So, Rachel, given what you heard there from Dr. Jha, how are President Trump and President-elect Biden planning to speed up the administration of these vaccines? We have them in the country, but that doesn't do us much good if they're not actually in people's arms.
Yeah, and it's just so critically important to getting this virus under control. So a transition official tells us this morning that President-elect Joe Biden will come before the cameras today, and he is expected to blast President Trump for the pace of the rollout of this vaccine distribution. And he's also expected to kind of lay out his plan to speed up this process. But President-elect Joe Biden has been clear about this. This is why the transition and having these two sides talk is just so critically important so that he can get the information that he needs, he says, to hit the ground running on day one. We know that getting the pandemic under control is the #1 priority for the president-elect, Diane.
Understandable. Rachel Scott in Washington. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.